What's going on, guys? My name is Nate, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a basic audio reaction in Adobe After Effects. So let's go ahead and hop right into this. So first thing you're going to want to need is you're going to have three different things in your project. So open up a new project in After Effects, and you're going to want three things. First, you're going to want your background, which is going to be behind everything. It's just the background, exactly what it says. The logo, which is what you're going to put on top of the background, which is what you're going to have your rings reacting around. Then you're going to want your music clip, which is going to be what your rings are reacting to. So first you're going to take your background layer, and actually before that, go ahead and make a new composition. Click this little button down here. We're going to do a 1920 by 1080p composition at 60 frames per second. And for the duration what you're going to want to do, go ahead and get cancel, scroll over here to your music clip, scroll over to until you see out point. Out point is going to say 10 seconds 20 frames. So what you're going to want to do is look for that out point. When you see that out point, you're going to want to go to the next whole second. So if this is 10 seconds to 20 frames, so then you want to go to 11 seconds. So open up the new composition like we did before, 1080p, 60 frames per second, and set the time base of the time to 11 seconds. So 11:00, and that will be right here, show you 11 seconds. Hit OK. Now you got your 1920 by 1080p composition at 60 frames per second. That lasts 11 seconds, so it can fit the audio clip in perfectly. Go ahead and drag a background clip in, drag in your logo on top of the background, drag in your music clip behind the background. It doesn't really matter where the music clip is because it doesn't show up as anything. I just like to keep it on the bottom so it's kind of out of the way, because you're not really working with it much other than it being the basis of the whole thing as far as just the audio. You don't see anything from it, so it doesn't matter where it's stored. So since I have a 4K wallpaper, I'm going to go ahead and go to the background and open up scale and scale it down a bit. Put it at 50. If you have 4K wallpaper, you know it's 4K. You can put 50 for the scale, and it'll put it perfectly down to where it matches up. So then, first thing you want to do, go to your effects and presets and type in mirror. Open up the mirror, distort mirror, put it onto your background layer, and put the mirror. This is at 3840. Put it at half of 3840, which is 1920. If your wallpaper is already 1920 by 1080. Then half of 1920 is going to be 960. Whatever your X value is right here, do half of it. So for me it's 1920. Move this, it'll make the mirrored background that you always see in most of the visualizers online anyway, especially Trap Nation. And then for the logo, right now mine's a little too big, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the scale by pressing S and scale it down to probably around, I want to say 70. 70 is going, I think 70 will work. So pull these back up to where it's flat. Go ahead and right click, new, make a new solid. I'm going to call this 1, and this is going to be the very first audio reaction layer. Hit OK. Doesn't matter what color you make the solid as long as it's a solid, because it's going to have the audio spectrum right here. The audio spectrum effect, put it on 1, and now you see all these little dots right here. You zoom in, you can see the dots scrolling up, scrolling down, zooms in, zooms out. If you hold down the space bar and click and drag, you can move around your composition. And yes, it does get off-centered, and to fix that, all you have to do is come down here to your little percentage, click fit up to 100%. So go ahead and make the color. You're going to want to have a color scheme for your reaction ring that's based on the background. Let's not focus on color right now. Let's go ahead and just get the shaping of it. So first things first, the audio layer right up here at the top of the effects. Make sure the audio layer is selected on the music clip. So now you can see it starting to produce little reactions and whatever you call waveforms based on the audio. So put that over here. Side options, put side B. Starting frequency, put it at 20. End frequency, put it at 500. So now we're working with a smaller range of frequencies. This is going to be the lower frequencies, so most of the bass is what it's going to be reacting to. Okay, frequency bands, put it at 1000. Maximum height, put it at 950. Audio duration, put it at 30. This will give it more of a rounded look to it. Thickness, put it at 30. Softness, put it at 0. And then go ahead and look for an effect called polar coordinates. So polar coordinate, I spelled it wrong, doesn't matter. Polar coordinates right here. Click it, drag it right under the audio spectrum, and you're going to want rect to polar. Put the interpolation at 100%, and now you see it's wrapped around in a circle. But you see it doesn't go all the way up to the top, it doesn't touch itself. So right up here at the top where you see a start point and end point, the start point is starting not quite at the edge of the composition, so put start point at 0 and end point at 1920. So it goes from the farthest left of the composition to the farthest right of the composition. Now you've got the perfect circle. Then you want to go ahead and search for that mirror effect again. Drag it onto under the polar coordinates and put the reflection center at 960. And now we've got a mirrored reaction layer right here. And what we're going to want to do is go ahead and drag this behind the logo so it's not, so the logo covers up the actual ring itself and you can see the reaction coming from behind it, so there's no clipping and whatnot. Go ahead and scale this up a bit because it is pretty small compared to the logo. So scale it probably right about here to where you see just a little bit peeking out around the edges, but at the top part it's going to be hidden a little. So after this, go ahead, these are all the settings that you're going to need for this. Go ahead and click on the audio layer, Control D to duplicate it. So you should have 3 of them. I'm going to name them 1, 2, and 3. So now we got 1, 2, and 3. For 2, now we can mess with the colors. So for 1, we're going to look for, I'm going to go for a bluish color. So we're going to go for the darker blue of the clouds. So let's go ahead and use the dropper tool right here. Click one of the darker blues of the clouds. Click the dropper tool on the second one and just copy the color from the first one. Go to the second audio reaction layer. Click the dropper tool and I'm going to go to the lighter blue of the sky. So click these two, do the same thing we did for the last one. And then for 3, I'm going to use the color of the sunset. So right down here, click this sunset right here. And now we have our sunset color. So if we go ahead and go over here, for the first one the audio offset is at 0. If you go to the second one, the audio offset, they're all at 0. What we're going to want to do is put the audio offset for the second one at -10 and the audio offset for the third one at -20. So you're adding a 10 increment for every single one of them, so it gives it kind of a stepped look whenever it's reacting. So the top layer goes first, the second layer goes second, third layer goes fourth. Or third. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Okay, so go ahead and duplicate this first layer again because I forgot something. You're going to want a white layer around your main, as your main reaction layer, you're going to want a white layer that goes around your logo. So duplicate that first one real quick and make the layer color white. So solid white, and the audio offset is 0, and you know how it does the 0 and 0 over here. So go to the second one, bump it up to -10. Then the second one, or the third one now, -20, and the last one, -30. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we got all 4 of our reaction layers here. I'm trying to get to a spot where I can see them very easily. Okay, yeah, right here you can see that all 4 of the layers are here. Second thing you're going to want to do, go to the very first one, it's white, that's fine. Go to the second one, you're going to want to go to each one of these colors and find the most vivid version of that color. So click on this, it'll pull up this little color hue or color selection window. Take it and drag it all the way up to the top right. That's going to be the most vivid version of that color. And do that for all of these. So third one, so that light blue, drag it up to the brightest version of that light blue. Then for the pinkish color for the sunset, drag it up to the brightest version. And for this one, I think it's a little bit too harsh of a pink, so I'm going to drag it a little bit closer to the red. So we get that color. Now we've got some nice, bright, vivid colors that we're using for this reaction. Let's go ahead and do a RAM preview of this so we can see what it looks like. As you can see, we got a nice looking reaction coming from these effects. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more content just like this, make sure and subscribe and click that bell icon so you receive a notification every time I upload a new video. If you have any questions about this video or suggestion on another video for me to do, leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to bring even more life into this audio reaction, watch for my next video where I show you how to use Trapcode's plugins, particular and sound keys. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.